him.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Smack-a-macabre, it is time for the only news that matters. And in the middle of the podcast, the Osbourne's podcast, Kelly Osbourne posed the question of which was her parents' favorite decade. The 80s generation. That was a lot of music in the 80s, replied Ozzy without hesitation. And then he added, the 70s were all right as well. But if I had to pick the best decade, I'd say the 80s. The 80s is when I branched out on my own. I had so much fun, with me and Mom. Sharon then noted she preferred the 70s, adding, I think the 70s were so great because things were changing so quickly. Everything was changing. Ozzy recalls thinking to himself and sharing with Sharon, this is gonna fucking last forever, but he felt that there was an abrupt change when the 90s rolled around. We turned the 80s off and the 90s began and things were all changed. I remember that. I recalled, the 90s went so quickly for me. It's like someone turned the lights out. So, there you go. Ozzy's favorite decade is the 80s, and wow, can you blame him? I mean, look what happened to him in the 80s. Randy Rhoads, so successful, he outshined Black Sabbath. While Black Sabbath was releasing awesome albums, Ozzy still was more popular, really because of his antics. But man, to me, Blizzard of Oz is better than any Sabbath album without Ozzy, in my opinion. But I agree more with Sharon. I'm more of a 70s guy. Now, here's my philosophy on the whole thing. I have this thing where everything kind of died out in 1984 because of my timeline, I guess. But I can't think of any albums as good as Don't Break the Oath from Merciful Fate, Melissa from Merciful Fate, Ozzy, Diary of a Madman. I don't think there's any albums that were released after 84 that had the impact on me that those albums had. There's a lot of stuff that was released that was awesome after 84, but I don't think any of them is as good as the stuff before 84, with the exception, I guess, of Rain and Blood. Even though, I'm more of a Hell Awaits, which is 85, by the way. And, Show No Mercy, 84. I'm more of a fan of those, but I love Rain and Blood, and I feel like technically it is their best album, so I will give it to that. But no, I don't think Ozzy made any good albums, any albums as good as everything he did from 83 down, because he didn't release nothing in 84. I'm going to rank the 80s Ozzy albums, all right? Starting at the very bottom, Ultimate Sin. I'm not a fan of that album. I think those songs could have been better if they were structured a little different, and I didn't like the glossy sound of it. It just wasn't my thing, I remember when it first came out, I was horrified. I was like, this is not my Ozzy, But, I did like the song Shot in the Dark to hit. I liked that song, and I liked Secret Loser, and Killer Giants is okay. But to me, that's at the very bottom. I'm not a fan. Saw the tour, though, but still, not a fan. Then I'll go with No Rest for the Wicked, because I remember the first time I saw the video for Miracle Man. I said, that's my Ozzy. Ozzy is back. Gone is the glittery clothes, the glam makeup, the poofy hair. Well, his hair was still kind of poofy, but it wasn't blonde and poofy. And I thought it had some ripping songs on it, like Demon Alcohol, Bloodbath in Paradise, Tattooed Dancer, Fire in the Sky, Hero. Awesome album. I love it. Which says that I love all these albums, all right? So after one higher than that, I'll have to go with Bark at the Moon, man. Bark at the Moon rips. It's a ripping album, man. Jake shines. He does shine in Ultimate Sin. I don't think he sucks on Ultimate Sin, but I don't care how good you play it. The songs suck to me. You could be the greatest player on the planet and you still can't save that song. Those songs, I should say. But shit. Now, Bark of the Moon's a whole different story, man. I love the songs. Like, Now You See It, No You Don't is awesome. I think You're No Different is horrible as far as the placement on the album. Should have been a little later. It's too mellow to be the second song. But I still love the tune. I love Rock and Roll Rebel, Journey to the Center of Eternity, or other countries call it Forever. I even love So Tired. I know that's one everybody hates. I don't like Slow Down. I like Spider of the Night, the bonus one. And probably my favorite, Waiting for Darkness. Ozzy Osbourne, Bark of the Moon is number 3. At number 2, Blizzard of Oz. Perfect. Randy Rhoads, Bob Daisley, and Kerslake. And man, what an album, man. Suicide Solution, Crazy Train, I Don't Know, Mr. Crowley, Revelation, Mother Earth, Steal Away the Night, I Don't Know, D. Oh my God, the whole album fucking rules. Yeah, and I even love No Bone Movies. Love it. Goodbye to Romance. Love all that stuff. So, that keeps it to the number 1 album, which is Diary of a Madman, which I think is like the greatest album of the 80s, along with Melissa and Don't Break the Oath from Merciful Fate. I think Diary of a Madman is the greatest album of the 80s. I don't think any album touches it in the 80s and beyond. To me, like the last 3 albums that have never been matched are those 3 albums. Since 1984, which is Don't Break the Oath. After that, yes, you had great stuff. But I can't think of any albums after that I liked more than anything from 84 down that I love. But yeah, the 70s to me, that was the greatest. The greatest movies, greatest TV shows. The Black Sabbath in the 70s to me is the greatest music, and where in the 80s it was Merciful Fate. So I can't totally say I hate the 80s because I love the 80s up to 1984. My favorite comedy of all time is The Blues Brothers. That's from 1980, but everything else, 70s, man. Marathon Man, Slapshot, Godfather, oh my God, it was a Taxi Driver. Just phenomenal, groundbreaking movies like The Exorcist, man. I mean, geez, the 70s to me had it all. And we had on TV Archie Bunker. Man, nobody made me laugh louder than Archie Bunker and those facial expressions. TV in the 70s ruled, and I'm talking about, and then you got, these awesome albums like Volume 4, Black Sabbath, Aerosmith, Ted Nugent, oh my God, Blue Oyster Cult. All these amazing, amazing albums that just the 70s owned, I was very young in the 70s, up to my preteens, and I turned into a teenager during the 80s. And I had a lot of fun, man. The arena rock shows that I was going to in the 80s, which don't exist anymore. When you go in, it was just a big puff of marijuana smoke everywhere, and it was just, people were just like, in South Florida, the Hollywood Sportatorium, which I've done episodes about the show, that arena. Man, that, you get there and it's like there's no laws. You can smoke, trip on acid, do all this crazy shit, get super drunk and do crazy shit. And the Sporter would allow it. Yeah, there were arrests at times. Somewhere got arrested when they got a little, when they taunted the police. But believe me, man, I saw police walk by people smoking weed back then. I mean, right till the end. In 1984, I saw this awesome movie that changed my life. When I went to theater, it was the most gripping movie that just wouldn't stop. It was relentless. And I'm talking about The Terminator. Oh my God, that thing wouldn't die. It just kept going after her. Even after they blew him up, he kept going after her. It was intense. 1984. Yeah, I know a lot of you are fans of it. But T2, back up, and that's even in the 90s. I think that's in the 90s. It ain't even in the 80s. Oh, I'm sorry. I know a lot of you guys out there love that damn movie. I hate it. That stupid kid. Don't kill him, Terminator. Screw that shit, you know? I hated it. Yeah, a lot of it, action and stuff, but to me, that dirty, grimy 1984 masterpiece, The Terminator, destroys it in every way. Yeah, and so did going to concerts back then. Hey, who lived it, man? Who lived it? The 80s, the arena rocks. I started in 1980, and all through the 80s. I went to concerts every year, multiple concerts. Where you're from, here in South Florida, it was a free-for-all craziness. Was it the same up there where you live? I'd love to know. Leave it in the comments below. And thank you for watching The Only News That Matters. And what is your favorite decade? And what else am I going to say? Oh, yeah, that's right. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I really would appreciate that. And hit that little notification bell. You know what I'm saying? And like the video because it's good for the YouTube algorithms. You know what I'm saying? So stay frosty, listen to Black Sabbath, and smack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.